Well, today I have a really wonderful guest with me. It's a lady that I've gotten to know, and I love working with her, and it's Miss Callie Anyan. She is with the Mississippi Department of Health, the Mississippi Medical Cannabis Program there. And so Callie oversees patients and practitioner certifications, giving approval on those applications. And she is the one to contact if you have any questions whatsoever about your application process.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, our goal is to get all of the patients that we can enrolled and active in this program, because patients are just as crucial as the business industry to making this thrive.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's what this whole thing is about. It's
Absolutely.
about helping our patients to regain their quality of life. Tell us a little bit, Callie, about the process.
The first and foremost thing we want everybody to do is go to our website. Before you ever start, if you think you have a patient that, if you think you have a qualifying condition, go to healthyms.com and then click on the medical cannabis banner. And on there, it's got a wealth of resources. One of the very first things you'll see is our pre-application checklist, which goes through actually each type of application, and there is a specific area for patients where they can go through, look at all those steps, the required documentation, and then from there I would encourage patients to go ahead and set up their account. Just go ahead and get that registration part done. And then, of course, you know, the website will guide them through the process of going to see a practitioner. And, of course, your website has a wonderful list of practitioners, which has been very helpful to so many. And then after they see their practitioner and they issue that certification, only then would they be able to actually complete and submit an application. We have been asked on several occasions about, you know, paper applications. Unfortunately, yes, this entire thing is digital. A huge part of the reason for that is not only for the sake of ease and processing, but it's to keep that patient information safe and protected on a server that is absolutely secure. And just to prevent, you know, paper loss happens. And so we are actually really committed to being the first agency that is completely paperless within the health department.
You know, whenever a patient has asked me, you know, well, is this safe? Is my information safe? I'm like, yes, they have gone through the protocol. They have done everything they can to make sure that your information is kept private and secure. And so that's a really wonderful and reassuring feeling that I can give and pass on to our patients. And so, so when they look at and go through the pre-application checklist, and as you said, you know, they can go ahead and do like the registration. And that's something that I see that a lot of patients that call me, they think that that pre-registration part is like really all that they do. But there's really a whole application that comes after that. And so it's real important when you do the registration part, though, to make sure that your name and social security number and date of birth are accurate, and then you need to remember the password and what your identity is to get back into that. Because that's what sets your account up. And so the next step, after they've done that, they can go and see a practitioner.
Yes.
And so tell us about what the patient would expect when they go to see the practitioner.
The way the bill talks about, the spirit of the bill as we call it, is that those patients and practitioners have to have what we call a bona fide relationship. What that means is that practitioner is available not only for the medical cannabis certification, but also any aftercare that needs to go with it, and for other things outside of that, ideally. For example, if you had somebody's family practitioner who was certifying them, well, sure, they could certify the medical cannabis, but they may also be handling some other conditions that maybe aren't necessarily, you know, what they qualify for with medical cannabis, but just your general day-to-day wellness. And so absolutely, if you are going to a practitioner for the purposes of medical cannabis, that collaboration of care is vital. You absolutely would need to have those records ready to present to the practitioner who is going to be certifying your condition. Any documentation like that. I know many practitioners are requesting it on the front end, so they have an opportunity to review it, as not to, you know, take advantage of a patient, waste time, money, all of those things, those vital resources, particularly with patients, you know, these are qualifying debilitating conditions. And from what I've seen, most practitioners are very intentional about handling this with care, and making sure those patients are able to access that. And I think that's been a really great thing about this program. Yes. Another big thing that seems to kind of be surprising people is that practitioners are required to perform a urine drug screen at that appointment. Don't freak out. Yes. That's my best advice. Don't freak out. If you have something come up on that test, the practitioner can then use their discretion to decide as to whether or not medical cannabis may be appropriate. That being said, a positive is not always automatically disqualifying. That's right. And it's just something that the practitioner needs to have for a baseline. And this was a regulation set forth in the Board of Nursing, Board of Optometry, and Board of Medical regulations, their cannabis regulations. Yes. So that's one thing to expect. And then usually most practitioners issue that certification pretty quickly.
They do.
When they issue that, the patient will get an email letting them know that that certification is ready to be claimed, and that will be done at the part of an application. It's about halfway through, where it says certifying practitioner information or condition, and so at that point, the patient will select that certification and attach it to their application. Yeah. I will say this for the system, it's really great about sending emails all along the way. So definitely, I would recommend to patients be very mindful of your emails. Check those often and regularly.
Yeah. So once the patients have gotten their certification, as you said, they then use their registry information. They be sure to remember your password.
Yes.
And then they can log in to your portal again. And so kind of walk us through some of the initial steps there.
So the certifications actually match the application using that date of birth and social security number. Those are the two most vital things. However, of course, name is equally important. Even though that isn't the matching factor necessarily, there are times where we need to go in the system and pull you up by names. Let's say you call and you'd like an update on your status of your application and you don't know your application ID. Well, you give me your, the name you go by, but your practitioner put the certification in your legal name. I'm going to have a hard time finding you.
Yes, absolutely.
So anytime anybody can do anything to help keep that consistent.
Yes.
And I would also urge a word of caution when you are registering to double, triple, quadruple check your date of birth and social as you enter it. I believe it makes you enter it twice.
Yes.
Also, when you are at your practitioner's office, make them double check it. Make them read it back to you, or look at the form, because that can be a huge holdup in this process. And even if it is incorrect, there is a way for us to fix that. Don't panic, but it is a process and it is going to put you a little bit behind.
Yeah.
But as far as the application, when the patient first logs in, it's going to ask the usual things: name, date of birth, social, email. I can't stress this enough. The email is very important too.
Yes.
That is where the system's going to send all of your correspondence. That's definitely a big one.
Thank you, Callie, and thank you to our viewers for joining MCPATV. For more information about the Mississippi Cannabis Patients Alliance, go to our website, follow us on social media, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and be sure to share this informative video with your friends and family. Thanks again for tuning in to MCPA TV.